Well, it's not only the state of the economy in question for President Obama. It's also some other choices, including those of food safety. We've been talking about obesity in America here on RT. And in our first segment, we brought you the startling numbers and talked about who in the country is being affected. We also asked this question: is the mass production and consumption of genetically modified food products in the United States causing major health problems stemming for the rise of obesity? For a closer look, RT's Jehan Hafiz has part 2 of Fat in America.
When my father grew up, and he swears by this, that, poor people were skinny. Poor people are now obese.
It's selective foods in selective communities, on the shelves and flourishing in the diets of low-income households.
This is an example of what we mean when we say selective foods in selective neighborhoods. We're here at a supermarket in one of the very few black neighborhoods in the suburbs of Virginia, and nearly everything on these shelves is made from processed ingredients, GMO foods, either canned or boxed foods. And for the most part, you can pick up anything here and see high fructose corn syrup. It's something that's contributing to obesity in America.
Would you buy this for your child? Was that something that you would feed your kid as like a snack?
No, I would not feed this to my child as a snack.
Why is that?
Well, probably most of the ingredients on here I can't even pronounce. And if I can't pronounce it, I certainly don't want to eat it.
It's been 3 months since we launched Let's Move.
Pioneering the Eat Healthy campaign is First Lady Michelle Obama.
Between what's in our food and how much of it that we eat, Americans consume more calories, fat, and sugar today than ever before.
She's encouraging Americans to plant and eat healthy foods.
It's ironic that on the one hand, Michelle Obama is planting and harvesting an organic garden. On the other hand, President Obama has put Michael Taylor as the U.S. food safety czar. Under Michael Taylor's watch, the FDA said no testing necessary at all for GMOs, no labeling necessary, and then Taylor went on to become Monsanto's vice president. In addition, Obama has placed many key pro-Monsanto and pro-genetically engineering people in key positions in the USDA and elsewhere.
These are the people making key decisions, not only for the American food supply, but also on which products and food policies are exported to the world market.
They're supposed to be protecting the people, but what it appears to me is that the Department of Agriculture is protecting and promoting Monsanto.
What's left of America's organic farming industry is familiar with Monsanto's stranglehold of the U.S. market. Phil Gertston of Gertson Seeds Farming in Idaho took Monsanto to the Supreme Court because of claims their Roundup Ready alfalfa seeds were contaminating his farmlands.
So this product will be out there, so farmers will need to coexist.
In the end, Gertston lost the case and Monsanto won.
It's incredible what is going on.
Obesity, corporate domination, and the future of America's health. It's a lot to swallow for a country where there's an abundance of food and an increasing waistline stretching from the high echelons of the government to your dinner table. Jehan Hafiz, RT, Washington, D.C.
And I've got Jehan Hafiz in the studio with me. Jehan, I noticed in your story you had First Lady Michelle Obama talking about eating healthy and planting gardens. Talk a little bit about, is this the case for her whole family? Is she leading by example here?
Well, I have to say President Obama is doing a bit of the opposite, because most of the people that he's appointed for the major agencies that oversee our food production and produce in the country come from the biotechnology industry, Monsanto and DuPont. Some of those examples include figures like Roger Beachy. He's the former director of Monsanto Plant Science Center. He is now the director of the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture. Similarly, Islam Siddiqui was the former president of CropLife, which was one of Monsanto's main lobbying firms, now the agriculture director for the U.S. Trade Representative. Then you had Elena Kagan, who's now on the Supreme Court. She was the Solicitor General, and she sided with Monsanto in the Supreme Court case back in April. Then you have Clarence Thomas, who was a lawyer for Monsanto in the 70s, now Supreme Court Justice, actually writes most of the opinion pieces, and Margaret Miller, who was of the Board of Chemical Lab Supervisors in the late 1980s, now serves as FDA branch chief. Sharon Long worked on the Board of Advisors for Monsanto and worked with Obama during the 2008 campaign. And last but not least, two important figures, Michael Tyler, who worked as a lawyer for Monsanto on GMO labeling in the 1980s, then became FDA commissioner for food policy, then became Monsanto's VP for public policy, and is now the American food safety czar. And Tom Vilsack, who's the Secretary of Agriculture, is well known for pioneering biotech policies. So
a lot of people on the inside here. Just real quick, Jehan, do you get the sense that Americans know how much genetically modified organisms are actually in their food?
No, they don't know. And why is that? It's mainly because things aren't labeled. So example, I have two different food products right here. This is Naked Juice, and it says non-GMO. This does not have genetically modified products in it. This I won't show the label, but you can read just looking at it.
What is it, cheese
modified
dip?
Yeah, it's cheese dip, but it contains a lot of genetically altered ingredients in it. So people would pick this up and they wouldn't see that it's modified, but this obviously has a label on it.
All right, certainly some good reporting there on fat in America. Jehan Hafiz, thanks so much.